What's up everybody, welcome back to One More Guitar. Hope y'all are having a good day today. I really appreciate you checking out the video, and if you're new to the channel, please take a second to hit the subscribe button before you leave. So today we're going to take a closer look at this Epiphone Casino Worn. I'll put a link to the unboxing video up in the cards if you haven't seen that, and you can check out my first impressions of this guitar. But today we're going to take a little closer look and we're going to go over the specs of it, see what these pickups sound like clean and dirty. We'll check it out in a mix, and then this guitar has got a few quirks about it that I want to go over as well. So let's dive right into this. We'll start by taking a look at the specs of the Epiphone Casino Worn. This is a completely hollow body guitar. The body is made out of maple. It's a satin finish, and this color is worn olive drab. It has two volume controls and two tone controls, one for each pickup. And I really like these reflector knobs they have on this guitar. And it comes with a typical three-way toggle switch to switch between the pickups. Some people say that the switch is too close to the pick guard for them, but I didn't really have any problems with it. It has a floating trapeze tailpiece, and the bridge is an Epiphone lock-tone tune-o-matic bridge. This guitar comes with an Epiphone Pro P90 dog ear pickup in the neck and the bridge position, and you can see here it's got the Epiphone logo on the pick guard. The serial number will be on this sticker inside of the guitar instead of on the back of the headstock. That's pretty typical for hollow and semi-hollow body guitars. The fretboard is made of Indian laurel, and it comes with perloid parallelogram inlays. There are 22 medium jumbo frets. It has the typical Gibson scale length and a fretboard radius of 12 inches. It has a Graphtec new bone nut with a width of 1.69 inches. You can see it also has the Epiphone logo on the truss rod cover, and it comes with Epiphone Vintage Deluxe tuners. One thing I want to mention is that I really like the side profile with this green and black on the headstock. I think it looks pretty cool. We'll take a look at the back. There's really not a lot to mention here. You can see some of the wood grain. There's no control plate or anything like that because all of the electronics are fished through the F-holes. It has a set neck, and the neck is made out of mahogany, and it has the 60's C profile. And we can take a quick look at the back of the headstock and the tuners. The weight on this guitar is 5 pounds 12 ounces, and that's definitely the lightest electric guitar I have. Alright, let's check the pickup readings. In the bridge we have 8.51. In the neck we have 8.47. That's actually surprising. I thought that neck wasn't going to be as hot as the bridge. In the middle we have 4.25. Let's take a closer look at this guitar now that I've got the strings off of it. The first thing I want to mention is this wood grain. It's really difficult to get this guitar to show up like this, but this is really what it looks like in person. It's not quite as flat as it looks in all of the other video clips. So I thought this is pretty cool. I really liked how this grain looks. Here's what the fretboard ended up looking like after I conditioned it. It's not the best Laurel fretboard I've ever seen, not the worst. It looks decent. Alright, now we'll take a quick look at the bridge. It's a lock-tone bridge, so it's kind of snug on there, but you can see it's got the Epiphone branding on it. We'll take a look under the pickups real quick. Let's check out the neck first. You can see it's marked in on the bottom to designate neck. We'll take a look inside the routs. They look pretty clean. There's always a little bit of dust and debris inside of the semi-hollow and hollow body guitars. Alright, now let's check out the bridge pickup. You can see that similar to the neck pickup, this is marked B for bridge. Neck profile. You can see here how it fits in my hand. It's a pretty slim profile, which I typically don't like, but like I mentioned in the unboxing, it really works well with this guitar because of how lightweight the body is. Alright, the next thing I want to do is the tissue test. I think these frets feel pretty good, but let's go ahead and check it out anyway. No tears. Alright, let's check the top. I could hear it snagging somewhere down here. Yep, there's a little bit of mark on the paper here. It's tough to see on the camera, but there's one little bitty snag. It's really not much at all, and I think it's, yep, right there. I got one fret that's just a little bit catchy. It's really not sticking out much, but you can feel it's a little rough there, so it's got a little bit of a catch to it. But overall, pretty good. Alright, so I'm playing through the Marshall DSL 40CR today, and what I want to do first is just go through these different pickup positions clean and dirty and check out what that sounds like. Alright, so now I'm just going to play through some songs that I think are recorded with casinos. So let's check this out. Alright, let's see how these pickups clean up real quick. I'm going to mess with the volume knobs here some. Alright, let's do the same thing with the tone knob. Alright, now I'm going to try to show you what this will sound like in a mix. I'm not exactly sure what to play, but it'll probably be 60s rock inspired. But I'll try to stray away from that a little bit too, so let's see what we can do. Alright, the next thing I want to do is test this guitar for feedback. One of the main problems with hollow body guitars is they're known for feeding back. So sometimes they can be difficult to use on stage. So I really wanted to push this and see, at what point is this guitar unusable? So the first thing I'm doing right now is I've cranked the clean channel as much as I can to be able to record it. And let's just see if we get any squeals or anything like that. Alright, so I got no feedback when I'm playing just clean, and that's pretty much been my experience this whole time. If you're playing clean, you don't have to worry about it, so that's not a problem there. Now what I want to do is on the clean channel, I'm going to put an overdrive pedal on, and this will be like a tube screamer, so let's see what this does. So it seems like you can play this thing with an overdrive pedal and it's not going to feedback too much. But I think we can get some feedback if we try to at this point. So let's try that. Alright, so you can get a little bit, but it's not out of control. I think that's going to be usable if you know how to use the feedback. You might be able to ride that into something cool. So I think that's not too bad at this point. Okay, now what I'm going to do is turn off the overdrive pedal and turn it on to the gain channel of the amp. And let's try that. So again, it's not out of control if you're playing normal, but if you want to use it, you can face the guitar towards the amp and get some feedback. So again, it's still pretty usable at this point. So now what I want to do is throw the overdrive pedal on with the gain channel on. Alright, we're starting to lose control just a little bit. You can still ride it some, but I think that if you turn towards the amp any, it's going to get a little bit out of control. Let's try that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is turn the overdrive pedal off and move up to a higher gain channel on the amp. So that feels about the same. Let's kick the overdrive on. Oh, see that? Ooh, I can't even make it stop. All right, hold on. We have the overdrive pedal on and the second gain channel. And I'm going to assume if I move to the ultra gain channel, this thing's going to go nuts. So let's just try it with the overdrive pedal on. So I didn't even have to play a note. It's already squealing. There's nothing I can do about that. So we think we found the limit here. So what I want to do now is go back down to the clean channel and see what happens when we start stacking overdrives. I'll show you what it sounds like with the wah. Now I'm going to throw the overdrive on. So I definitely think there's some limitations to what you can do with this thing. Playing clean, it's fine, and usually with one level of gain, it's pretty good. Sometimes you can do 2 lower gains and it works okay, but you're going to have some feedback that you got to deal with. But you can kind of manage that. But after that, it gets pretty unusable. I mean, you can't even play a note without it just squealing with you being in the room. Now, I'm sure each room's going to make a difference. So I'd really be interested to take this down to a blues jam and see what happens in that environment. But in this room right here, basically I've got one gain level, maybe a little bit of two, but not really. But I just wanted you to be aware that this guitar will feed back on you if you're not careful. Alright, so let's go over my final thoughts on this guitar. The first thing I'll mention is the construction and the QC. For the most part, I really haven't had any issues with this guitar. We saw that there was one fret here that was a little sharp when we did the tissue test, but you know, overall, that's really not that bad. You can't feel it when you're playing, so no concerns there really. I think the nuts cut pretty well. The binding looks good. Fit and finish is good. Everything is really nice on this guitar. I have had one little issue with the tuners, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But first I want to talk about the pros of this guitar. The first thing is how lightweight it is. It's a very comfortable guitar. I've mentioned before that the neck profile is a little thin for what I typically like, but it works really well with this hollow body. It's a very well balanced guitar, and I do like that about it a lot. The second thing is the finish. I have seen some people online say that they just don't like satin finishes, and I get that, so you may not like this finish. But I do like the way it feels. I think it's pretty cool, and I specifically like the wood grain in this. I know it's hard to see when you've got it straight on the camera like this, but I have tried to show it in a few clips, and that's really what it looks like in person. You can really see the grain throughout the body of this guitar, so I think that's really cool. The next thing I want to mention that I really like about this guitar is how well it fits into that 60s rock sound. I'm sure those guys back in the day had a little bit higher end versions of this, but I didn't feel like I lost anything with this affordable version. It really nails that 60s rock sound, and I feel like it's got that same kind of magic, so that's really cool about this guitar. And the last pro for me is being able to play this thing acoustically. It's nice to keep this in the living room and to just be able to play unplugged sometimes when you need to be quiet. So I do like that about this guitar. It projects really well. Alright, now let's talk about some cons on this guitar. There's three different things that I see that stand out to me. Two of them actually just have to do with the design of the casino and not this guitar itself, but let's go over it. First we'll talk about the neck join. The place where the body joins the neck is really high up on the neck on this guitar. So to me that makes pretty much all of this part of the fretboard unusable. If you're not playing up there very much, you may not even notice that, but if you do play up there, you will hit the wall at some point. And so it's just a limitation to this guitar. Another thing I want to talk about is the feedback. We went over the feedback test and you saw that, you know, it's not completely unusable with gain. You can stack a pretty fair amount of gain on it before it starts feeding back, and you can actually use the feedback in a cool way, you know, if you can figure out a way to ride it out. So, you know, it's not a complete negative, but I will say that at some point the guitar does become unusable. It starts squealing and you can't play it. You can't make it stop squealing, right? And that's all going to depend on your room size as well as how much gain and stuff you have on your amp. So you might find yourself in a situation with lower gain where this thing's feeding back pretty bad. So hopefully at some point I can take this out to a blues jam and really kind of put it through its paces. But I did want to mention that there is a limitation of how much gain you can put on this guitar. It will feed back. All right, the last thing I want to talk about are these tuners. I mentioned in the unboxing that there was something a little off-putting about them, and I still haven't quite figured that out. I just think I have two of them that are slipping. The ratio doesn't seem bad on them. The tuners themselves seem fine. I just think maybe I've got a couple of defective ones. I'm not sure, but this low E string tends to slip a lot. You may have heard some samples in this video that were out of tune, and if so, it's because this E slipped while I was playing, because I try to tune up in between each clip. G string is not quite as bad, but it does slip a little bit too. But this low E string has been a bit of a problem for me. So I did want to mention that too in case you run across that. Alright, that's it for today. I really appreciate y'all checking out the video. Please remember to take a second to hit the like button if you liked the video. And until next time, take it easy and keep playing.